Welcome to another episode of At Witt's End. I'm Ken. That's Carson. We're 6,000 miles away, 9-hour time difference. This podcast is the number one Austro-American podcast. I like to say I don't have any facts, and I think it's the only one.
Yeah, I have no idea. It's probably not the only, but I would have no idea of the other podcasts that are out there.
Yeah, I haven't seen any, or heard any. But
I don't think we've looked them up either. So,
well, we belong to some social media sites for Austria, Vienna, and never seen anybody talk about it. Even the U.S. Embassy doesn't really have anything that I know.
I mean, I know there's definitely like tit-tatty towns, but they're usually like, I'm an American living in Austria. Here's what to do, kind of thing.
What's the difference. But so today we're going to talk about we thought we'd talk about summer, kind of the entertainment of 2023, the summer season, what we've been to, what we've seen, movies and concerts mostly. So we haven't seen them all, but I think we cover the big hits or the big releases.
Yeah, and I think there's plenty to say even if you haven't gone. Because there's one I want to bring up that I haven't gone to that I think is the biggest of everything this summer.
Oh.
And I guess we can start with that because I'm curious because I know you have some strong feelings about this one, or you've had some strong thoughts in the past. Okay. You have a very puzzled look on your face, but I think the biggest events of the summer, and maybe you get an idea when I say events, has been the Taylor Swift Eras tour.
Oh yeah, I thought you were going with the Barbie. I thought we were gonna do like Barbie movies. So
no, I think the Taylor Swift thing is way bigger.
Oh, I would agree, but I can't. I guess I have opinions about it, but I haven't attended. So
you know plenty of people who have attended.
Yes, we can, I guess, start with concerts then. So yes, definitely the Taylor Swift. What do they call it? Eras tour.
Eras tour.
The biggest thing in entertainment right now, and quite frankly, because of it, I think she's probably the richest woman in the world.
No, I wouldn't say she's not definitely not the richest, but she's the most famous person in the world.
I would
most famous woman in the world.
Surpassed Beyonce. Would you say?
Oh yeah.
And what about Oprah Winfrey in entertainment?
Yeah, and are you talking just pure fame?
Well, no, I'm talking monetarily, financially.
I don't know about monetarily, just because of other ventures. Like I know, like Beyonce and Oprah have their other ventures, but in terms of
cultural
fame,
significance of fame, yes.
Yeah, and that's not even just the U.S. That's worldwide. She's I think the biggest woman in the world.
Yeah, she's coming to Vienna.
So that's what I was going to bring up. So she is the entertainment summer of 2023, but she will be the European entertainment summer of 2024.
Oh, so it's summer of 2024.
Yeah, her Europe tour is summer of 2024.
Well, here's what I would advise Americans who didn't get to see Taylor Swift or are huge fans. Based on what we looked at tickets there, the pricing, cheaper in Europe. Still selling out, but cheaper.
Depends on the location. London, Wembley, absolutely not. It's similar to the U.S., if not harder.
But the stadium in Vienna, I think it was.
Yeah. They had.
I would have bought a ticket for there.
Yeah, she had 3 nights. I mean, the tickets. They sold the general non-quote VIP tickets sold out pretty quickly within like an hour, which is much slower than in the U.S.
Yeah, what was the face value? $200, $150.
It depends on your seats. I mean, they range from like 70 to over 200, but like the VIP ones, you could get a day or two after, and they were reasonable in like the 250 plus range. And the seats varied, but like people were paying way more for nosebleeds in the U.S. So
yeah, and people are actually going to stadiums in the U.S. to stand outside.
Yeah,
which the music's broadcast outside into the parking lot.
Well, you can just hear it. I mean, it's not broadcast, but you can hear it for sure.
So, I think you know me well. I like the underdog. I like the new artist. I don't like when I think she's somewhat oversaturated. I think she's phenomenal. Great artist, great songwriter, great entertainer. She's attractive.
Can
I
you
can't
think
think.
of like in your era um of concerts that you saw like back in when you grew up going to concerts when you were younger? Any like what concerts tours specifically were of this scale?
Well, I don't think there's ever been one of this scale, but I would say the Stones were always up there during that time period. I can actually jump into a concert I went to last night if you want.
Okay,
So
yeah.
let's compare this because there was a guy in the 70s
Compared
who
to
ev- it's not a real good comparison, but fame wise and maybe emotionally and musically, um, every guy wanted to be this guy. Every girl wanted to date this guy and be his girlfriend. It's Peter Frampton. It's his supposedly last tour, and we went last night. Had great seats, dead center, in the second section back. So we're up above, so we could see right at him. And for those of you who don't know Peter Frampton, the Frampton Live album was one of the biggest, or if not the biggest, album of the 70s, I think. And every girl had a Peter Frampton shirt. In fact, the merchandise line last night was the longest line there. Everybody was buying up. And they're the old ones of him with his long hair. Now he's bald. But if you follow somewhat Peter Frampton or have heard of him, he's got a muscular degenerative disease that has hit him in the last few years during COVID. So he has a cane now.
Oh, I
He
didn't know
does
that.
not he does not stand during his concerts. He has to sit. So my expectation was I want to go say goodbye. It's his last one. We'll see how he does. Because quite frankly, all the guys I grew up with in bands are all of them have the same kind of tagline right now. Uh, we're in our fifth decade of touring, so 50 years, and Peter Frampton's in that category. But he came out with his cane, sat on a what I thought was funny, just an office chair, desk chair. His whole band sat on a desk chair, so nobody stood. So I don't, out of respect or whatever. But I was thinking that's not going to be that great. Phenomenal concert. I would say one of the best concerts I've been to in a long time.
Why was it so good?
Because musically, his fingers are still jamming, and he actually said that. He said, "Hey, when this hit me, I thought it was over, but I was laying in bed one night. My fingers were still working. I called my manager and said, let's do one more tour." That was during kind of the end of COVID. And so they threw it together and just, he is one of the great guitarists. You can argue about that, but he made his guitar talk. He does the wah wah thing. Just phenomenal guitar work, and his voice is still there. And then the other thing is, a lot of times an artist who doesn't have a large catalog of hits or music will spend a lot of time talking, and he did, but it was nostalgic. He talked about his old bandmates. He talked about Humble Pie, who he played with before that. He talked about, everything from the Beatles to whatever. And he's a very funny, engaging guy. And at the end, uh, in the 70s, everybody did um, encores. He had the lighter in the air, the big lighter, and they would come back out. So his band left. He sat there and he goes, I can't walk off stage anymore. It would take forever for an encore. He says, I'm going to stay here. And, if you want to clap, great. And then he played Humble Pie. And the crowd, you could tell they loved him. People were crying. It was, it's kind of an emotional concert, taking them back to their time, junior high, high school. People were singing along. And at the end, he actually said, basically, if God willing, there'll be a sequel. And usually, with guys who've toured for 5 decades, you say, God, he's got to give it up. It's just not there anymore. I'm hoping he does a sequel. I will go again. Um, the tickets were kind of pricey. We bought them well in advance. That's why we had good seats. So I think on the secondary market, they were going for like $400 a seat. I'm not sure. Yeah, and that's at Thunder Valley. But one of the security guards said, "Yeah, it's one of our pricier concerts." She goes, "It's going to be worth it," and she was right. If you grew up in the '70s, if you were remotely a Peter Frampton fan, it was well worth the ticket. Probably like I said, one of the best shows I've seen in a long time. I can't remember a better one.
Okay.
In fact, I think people thought I was not into it because I was not standing up, but we had such good seats. I was just focused in on Peter Frampton and his guitar work and his voice, his comedy. Loved it.
So
So comparing that
you were like
with,
in a you were like sitting in a record room with some headphones on, just listening to the music, just
yeah,
vibing to the record.
you know, and I've done it too. The guy whistling or the girl saying, "I love you, Peter." I felt like going, "Hey, shut up, man. Let's just listen to him, man. He's a legend." But so to compare that with Taylor Swift, obviously not on the same scale now, but
No.
Taylor Swift fans love her. And what's interesting to me, like guys your age love her.
Yeah, but I
Straight
mean,
and gay men love her.
guys my
She's beautiful.
age grew up with Taylor Swift. Like,
but if you look at the crowds, it's mainly moms and their daughters, from what I've seen.
yeah,
And people are lining up the day before just to get into the parking lot, to get to the merchandise stand, and to get into the stadium. So I don't think there's anything I can really compare it to. You used to have the Grateful Dead that people traveled around the country and the world just to see them. Um, so it's more of a
Swifties and Deadheads, man. It's a eclectic crowd.
Yeah, I mean, you would not see those crowds together. Let's put it like that. The demographics are very different.
Okay, so Peter Frampton was did any other concerts before we talk about the other side of entertainment for this episode?
Yeah, so as you know, we were in Europe, so we're traveling, so we hadn't seen a lot of concerts. But man, we had an opportunity to go again tonight to one we did go. But let me give a rating for Peter Frampton. I talked about we don't really have a rating scale here, but let's use a watch dial. 1 out of 12. Midnight or 12 noon being the best. I want to give Peter 12.
Okay,
it was such a great show. And
okay, so you are okay giving out perfect scores, meaning
yeah, because I couldn't see the Frampton concert being any better. There's no pyrotechnics. He had some great video, but as far as musically and emotionally and engaging, he was probably one of the best I've ever seen.
Okay, so 12.
And there might be an emotional connection there because I grew up with him, and I think your mom would have felt the same way.
Yeah.
To give you an analogy, every guy in the 70s had a Farrah Fawcett poster. Every girl had a Peter Frampton Live T-shirt, if they were cool.
Right.
So, other concerts. This weekend was kind of an oldies thing. We also went and saw ZZ Top and Leonard Skinner. So, yeah, very different. If you know Leonard Skinner, Southern rock, touring in their 5th decade. ZZ Top, Texas rock, touring in their 5th decade.
All right, so give us the go no go on the rating.
I would, if you're a Skinner fan, Southern rock fan, you kind of got to go, but I would give them a rating of maybe 6 o'clock.
Okay, so not great.
Met expectation. It's dinner time. I'm gonna eat. It was great. ZZ Top, maybe a 5 or a 4 o'clock. Yeah,
really?
And I'm a ZZ Top fan, raised with it. They had kind of connections in Santa Barbara. And, their first major video on MTV featured a Playboy model from Santa Barbara called Kim Heron. So she was kind of the girl around town. Still remember her name.
Why do you know that?
Was in Santa Barbara. I think anybody that was raised in Santa Barbara at that time knew Kim Heron, and your mother knew who she was too. So, yeah, I would say maybe a 5 or 4 o'clock on that.
Okay, so disappointing concert. I mean,
I would say it met expectations. It was entertaining, but
no, it sounds like it was a disappointing concert. I'll say it for you.
I would go to Peter Frampton in a heartbeat again. ZZ Top or Skinner. Skinner maybe, but ZZ Top. I'm not, unless somebody comps me tickets. Probably.
But you've seen them recently,
multiple times. Yeah.
All right. And so then, others.
Jefferson Starship, Jefferson Airplane with Mickey Thompson. Another touring in their 5th decade. Do you even know who they are?
I have no idea.
Well, if you go back and you look at the history of 60s rock, Haight-Ashbury, the psychedelic culture, Jefferson Airplane's the band, and then they matured into Jefferson Starship. Um, Grace Slick, have you ever heard of Grace Slick?
No, keep going.
Okay. Well, she's no longer with the band, but the guy, Mickey Thompson, who I believe joined them in the 70s.
The only
And
Mickey
that,
Thompson I know is Mickey Thompson Dread Radials
yeah, not the
attire.
same guy. But we had seen him multiple times, and I was going, I don't know why we went to the show. Maybe we were given tickets or it was a last minute thing. But I said, I guess I had low expectations. Again, I'd seen this guy, Jefferson Starship, Jefferson Airplane with Mickey multiple times. And he was the opening act for another band I'll talk about in a minute. And I got to admit, he still got it. His voice hit the high notes. It was entertaining. I would go see him again. I would have to give him and Jefferson Starship probably an 8. The woman that replaced Grace Slick on vocals is phenomenal. And I can't remember her name, like Sia or Co or something like that. So, like I said, I'll give him an 8. I would go see him again. I wouldn't pay $400 or but I would pay just
a couple.
Then we went and saw Styx. I think probably one of your mom's favorite bands. You ever hear of them?
Yeah, you're pretty regular for them. I'm pretty sure you've seen them a couple times recently.
Yeah. I think I've seen their final tour 2 or 3 times. Again, touring into their final decade. It was a good show. Tommy Shaw is one of the great guitarists of the 70s. So it was entertaining. It was good. I'd give it a 7 o'clock.
I may or may not have seen them from the parking lot at the casino a few years ago. So, yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I know who they are, but yeah.
I mean, they put out a good show. Well, you know why you would know him? Mr. Roboto.
Yeah. I mean, I know who Styx is. I just I don't know much of their stuff. So, but I know you're going to one more concert, aren't you?
Well, we got
one more big
supposedly one. We got tickets comp for tonight up in Tahoe for Sam Hunt. They haven't come through yet, so we're probably not.
Not a artist I would expect you to go to see.
Yeah, I mean,
he's the rapping country.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of him, but since the tickets are comped, I was gonna go. Thomas Rhett, I think, is with him, so we like Thomas Rhett. We've seen him a couple of times, and then I can't remember who she is opening, but Lily.
No, there's some random country girl.
But see, we're going next week to Tahoe to see Darius Rucker, one of our favorite artists, not just country but pop. You know, Hootie and the Blowfish has always been a favorite band of mine. I like his voice. I have good expectations. I don't think I'll be disappointed.
For those who may not know, Darius Rucker is Hootie from Hootie and the Blowfish.
No, he's not Hootie.
Well, he's not Hootie, but he's in Hootie and the Blowfish.
No Hootie.
I was making he's
I know.
You know, when you say Hootie and the Blowfish, like Hootie would probably refer to the main singer, but he's from Hootie and the Blowfish. If you didn't know,
you know what's funny about this whole thing is because all these bands I grew up with are in their 5th generation, dying off, retiring, getting ill. I was thinking, in a few years, what concerts will I go to? But Darius will be one because he's fairly young for me, old for you, but you know, he's got a voice that is kind of. He's a cool guy, you know. It's kind of like Steph Curry. He's a great golfer. You know, he went to University of South Carolina. Loves his school. He's just a Southern boy that likes to drink beer, eat good food, and sing music.
Play music.
So I got nothing negative to say about it. Then, couple more. Yeah, we're going to be giving away tickets to Foreigner on next week's episode or next episode of At Witt's End. Foreigners again in their 5th touring decade, and this is their last tour. We thought we saw them last year on their last tour, so we'll announce the subscriber who gets the tickets next episode. It's I think on the 23rd or 24th of August, so you have a week.
So should I include a link to enter your name into the Foreigner ticket giveaway? I'll put that in some postings on social media.
Got to do it quick because we got a week. And we're probably going to have to limit it to California-based subscribers.
Well, I mean, they could fly out if they want to, but...
Yeah, that's true. Okay. So we'll do that.
Where's the concert being held at?
Toyota Amphitheater in Wheatland. I don't know
Okay.
who's opening for them, but it's their goodbye tour.
Yeah,
Okay.
goodbye
And
tour like they all have.
yeah, and who else? Oh, I've just been informed I'm probably going to go see Chicago, another band that's been touring since the '60s. Uh, I got to admit, I liked the group in the past. If I go, I'll let you know how it is. It's nice to see a big horn section, brass section.
Yeah. I feel like all these bands you've seen like within the last few years or something. But
Yeah, Chicago, but we live in an area that's got so many, and we know people in the entertainment business or you know publicity business. So we get
so many old white people that are trying to reminisce about their
yeah. Well, you'd be surprised. I mean,
times.
it's a diverse background of people out there, especially for Skinner. And then there's two more concerts that we actually bought tickets for. One, as you know, I like the underdog, and I hate when people say I can't go see something, or that I have to see this movie or I have to see this act. So I don't think it's a big deal in Europe. Jason Aldean, not in a small town. Have you heard the
Yeah.
controversy here in the States?
Yeah, it's
So,
whatever.
what's nice to see, a lot of black artists have stood up for him. There's nothing that's racist about his song. It's all true. And I've seen Jason Aldean. I won't say I'm a big fan, but I appreciate his music. I think he's a great guy. And so I bought tickets for his concert. Said I'm going to support him. And the one thing I'm kind of looking forward to is when he comes out with that song, the crowd reaction is going to be phenomenal, I think. I mean, it's sold out now.
I thought it was kind of funny because yes, separate tangent, but if people on social media probably uh, people are on Twitter all the time or TikTok have seen the Doc fight video, and it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's and someone was like, "Oh, this is what happens in a small town," and I was
Yeah.
laughing because, yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, there's a video going around social media of a huge brawl on a dock where a dude parked his pontoon boat right in where a big like riverboat docks to let off like 1,000 people, and he got in a fight with the security guard, and like they were started fighting because he wouldn't move his pontoon boat for this massive riverboat to dock, and then this all these people jumped off the riverboat and came to the aid of the security guard and just beat up this whole family because they just started punching out the security guard.
It just shows you.
I was laughing.
We've driven pontoon boats are fun, but what are they known for? They're party boats. So they were drunk as hell. Shirtless, dumb. And then this boat comes in ferrying passengers in. But I will say this: the nice thing about it is the big guy in the fight said it had nothing to do with race; it had to do with stupid people. So and it's kind of like the #1 video. Everybody was watching it, and then hilarious. I don't know if you know who Tyrus is. He's like a WMMA fighter, or wrestling champion, or something.
No.
His comment was, "Y'all are focusing on the wrong thing. These people are the worst fighters I've ever seen. They can't throw a punch. They were shitty fighters." And I laughed at that.
There's the best part of the video. This dude was like getting beat. Like he instigated, and then a bunch of people came to the aid of another. No. Then he's like, oh shit, like I can't do anything, and he literally dove off the dock into the water to run away. Like he just dove straight in the water to run away.
And then there was a guy that was using the chair to fight, and then there was a kid.
That guy is
like he was like 17 with a vest on. That I think he was part of the boat crew. He tried to get involved early on, and then a guy threw a punch at him. He kind of backed away slowly. I thought was pretty funny.
The chair guy was most out of hand, but I understand the rest of the people. But yeah, it was an epic video. Yeah. But anyway, keep going. Finish up our concert talk here.
So like we're going to Jason Aldean. I think it'll be a great show. But and the last one we know for sure we're going to is kind of like Frampton, somebody we grew up with. You were born, raised pretty much in Santa Barbara. We're from there. A local guy, Kenny Loggins from Loggins and Messina. The kind of folk rock of the 70s with Jimmy Messina, and seen him many a time. Seen him around town. Saw him at your mom's office. Always a great guy, and he said it's his final tour. He sold out here at Thunder Valley, but your mom and I worked at the Santa Barbara County Bowl when we were younger. I won't say we met there. We met after that. But Santa Barbara County Bowl's always been a special place. It's a great venue. It's much nicer now, much more upscale than when we were working there. And if you're going to Santa Barbara as a tourist and you get a chance to see the show at the County Bowl, it's a great place. Built by the Conservation Corps. It's back in a residential area at the top of Milpas. But a lot of good memories. Yeah, I'm going down the wrong road. But
we know, but no one cares.
It's his last. That is his last show of his last tour.
Who is this? Did you say
Kenny
his name?
Loggins.
Kenny Loggins. Oh, the guy
you will know because of Top Gun.
Yeah. No, you've seen him a bunch of times.
Yeah, and if Kenny was here, I'd tell him. I think we did a review early on in this podcast about his show where I said I was a little disappointed. He does a lot of movie soundtracks from the Top Gun stuff down.
We've talked about this before.
Yeah. So looking forward to that. Saying goodbye to Kenny. He's hanging up the guitar, at least as far as touring. So that's our concert season so far and to come.
All right. So now I think you. I think you went a bit too much rambling there about your concerts, but I know you like. That's. I think you're passionate about your senior concerts of old people and all that stuff, but
they're dying off, man.
We'll trying to relive 40 years ago, right? So
maybe not relive, but say goodbye, farewell, thanks for the memories, kind of thing.
So to the other kind of big entertainment stuff of the summer that everything is known for, and the summer blockbusters. I think everyone knows of the Barbenheimer weekend. You have seen only half of Barbenheimer.
What do you mean? Oh, because it's
yeah. You've only seen half, so you only saw Oppenheimer. So I guess we can start there. And I first want to say it was epic.
Well,
and I want to say too, the one thing that blew me away, and I told you about this before you saw it. The sound mix and the sound quality was absolutely incredible, and the music and the orchestra was mind-blowing. So I will say that pushed like the movie to another level was the sound. It was so cool.
I will say this about Oppenheimer. One, the most anticipated movie I've seen in a long time, at least for, I don't know.
Original.
Maybe for males with somewhat of a scientific interest, historic interest. I don't think I would say your mom was also, because we were excited about it.
I think it was just the fact that it was a movie about a historical event of that scale that really hadn't had anything similar. Like I don't think there was another similar storytelling of that event, and it told the story well.
And I hate to say it, I think it educated a lot of people because our public education system sometimes skips over things that are very historic. And the Oppenheimer story, the atomic bomb, that period in American culture is so significant. I mean, it changed the world. There's no doubt about that. I will say it seemed like we had been watching the previews for the last 5 years, but so much it wasn't. I'm exaggerating. Probably for the last at least year.
It felt like it, but it was the build up.
Every time you went to a movie, Oppenheimer preview was showing. Like, I can't wait for that to be out. Oh, it's not coming out for another year. So very anticipated.
I want to say one interesting thing because you talked about how it changes the world, and I don't know if you know this, but there's a cool fact. I don't know if it's really a fact, but sometimes when a company is in need of building a product with steel, they will actually look for sunken ships, and so the recovery of pre-nuclear blast steel from ships like World War II and World War I ships that sunk before the nuclear blasts and the nuclear age started is extremely valuable because that steel is very valuable. So pre-nuclear
Why?
steel is actually more valuable than post-nuclear steel. The
Why?
the the
The
the
composition
elements,
make you.
yeah, it's
Is it
stronger steel.
stronger?
Yeah, it's better steel.
So any
The
steel currently
purity.
made worldwide post-nuclear age
I wouldn't say
is
it's stronger, but it's better. I don't know the reasons exactly why, but I do know that the recovery of pre-nuclear steel is very valuable.
man. That's a
It's
bit of trivia.
it's a wild piece, but it's one of
That
the
needs to be a
coolest
show
facts.
that somebody.
It's one of
Well,
the
you say you
coolest
don't know
facts
if
that
it's
I
a
know.
fact. Is it a
No,
piece of
no, it is.
trivia or is it a fact?
It is a
Okay,
fact.
I'll have to
Like,
look into that.
yeah, steel recovery of steel from the pre-nuclear age is very
Yeah.
valuable, and you can date stuff because of the nuclear elements. Because everything
Well, that I would
post-nuclear,
think.
yeah,
Yeah.
has nuclear
Nuclear
energy or
particles in.
nuclear particles in it. But yeah, pre-nuclear steel from below the
So,
sea is very valuable.
so what would you rate on the watch face scale that I've come up
11 o'clock
with?
on
Okay.
Oppenheimer. Yeah,
So for me, Oppenheimer, I had high expectations. You're right. The sound was phenomenal.
and
I
the other
think the
thing you got to
length was
remember.
somewhat long. The documentary, the factual stuff I loved, but I got to admit I was somewhat disappointed. There was something about it I missed. I guess I was, with there's so many. I guess I thought there'd be more action.
Well, yeah,
I
and
do
that's
appreciate that they developed the characters more, which I wasn't expecting. I I knew of Oppenheimer, Einstein, all these people, but I didn't know their characters and the controversy. I forgot about the communist element, that kind of thing. So there were a lot of things I learned, but there was something about it that just left me a little like
I think that's
disappointed, I
for
guess.
a lot of like modern, because like a lot of recent movies have been all about action and CGI, and the fact that
Yeah,
there was
Fast and
zero
the Furious.
CGI.
Yes.
There was zero CGI in this movie. The movie was completely real effects, which is extraordinary for some of the effects they were doing. And I think people had the expectation, oh, I'm going to see a nuclear blast and this, that, and the other, and so you kind of go into that feeling, and when it comes out and it was just pure like storytelling and
Yeah.
character development and true movie. It was a true movie like that. What different from the modern, it was about the story and the
Right.
characters and not just the CGI and the action, and
Well,
that's
the
where I think
other
it really
thing,
stood apart.
yeah, the other thing is I tried to get tickets for what do you call it?
IMAX.
The IMAX. We have one of the few IMAXs that could show. Well, I think there's 12 in the country. We have one of them here.
Film IMAX.
Yeah, and I couldn't get tickets, and I didn't want to wait a month to get tickets to see it. So we saw it at a regular theater. I don't know if it would have made a difference, but I would give it a rating of like 10 o'clock on the watch face. So
Okay.
it's up there. It's probably one of my. I can watch it again multiple times. A lot of I don't rewatch movies that often, so this one I would.
Okay.
So yeah, great movie.
So the other half of Barbenheimer. I know you haven't
Don't
seen
call
it.
it that. I find that offensive.
Barbenheimer.
It's a trigger. It's a trigger for me, Carson.
Well, it's just the polar
An old guy
opposite
with a
effect,
trigger.
and it's straight. But so
Yeah, the yin and the yang.
yeah. So Barbie. I know you didn't see it, so I'll talk about it real quick. It was good.
Can I tell you why?
I mean, I know I kind of
Well,
know what you're gonna say, but
well, my name is Ken. So
yes, I would expect you to see it.
No, again, it's a movie that everybody says you have to see. So I kind of don't want to see it. I'll wait till it comes out on TV. And I have a hard time getting over the fact that it's a movie about a doll I grew up with. And the fact that people are dressing up, I was in the Rocky Horror Picture Show and I never dressed up, but I still went. So I don't know. I just had no desire to see it.
Okay? Yeah, but you're contradicting yourself. You're contradicting. Oh, that's
it's an anti-Ken movie, I hear. So I don't want to, I don't want to rush out and beat people up at the theater for.
I mean, you're contradicting yourself a little bit because you say everyone says to see it. Everyone said the same thing about Oppenheimer, and you went to see Oppenheimer.
Not really.
Oh yeah, everyone said to go see it. I mean, both of those movies, everyone said to go see.
I think you had people who knew about Oppenheimer were going to it no matter what. Barbie, it's like, oh, you got to see. It's the best movie ever, or it's so.
I wouldn't say that, but it was Greta Gerwig, the first $1 billion movie director.
She's a local director.
Yeah, she made the Sacramento movie.
Yeah.
Was it called Bird?
I think so.
I can remember, which was a great movie. I remember that movie. That was a very good movie. Is to just real quick. I can't remember the name of it, but it was about a girl from Sacramento, and
Yeah,
it was a
yeah, it
very
was a
good
great
movie.
movie, a very good movie.
Um,
Well, let me interject one other thing. It's kind of like my Taylor Swift thing. I think she's phenomenal. I'd love to see her. I don't want to pay $10,000 to see her, but Barbie's kind of the same way. It's the commercials on TV, on the talk shows, on the local newscasts, on the radio. Barbie's everywhere right now, and I'm kind of sick of it.
but I
So
don't think
that's my
that's
opinion.
any different than any big movie like the Avengers and
Oppenheimer's not there.
the Avengers, Batman. Like you go through a number of movies that do the same thing, and
Yeah,
I,
but I don't see guys dressing up like Oppenheimer walking around movie
yeah, but
theaters
you do
now.
see people dressing up as Marvel characters and Batman
Yeah,
and
yeah. I
and
also don't get into that, Mr. Comic
Dominic
Con.
Toretto going to Fast and
Yeah.
Furious
All right.
family. But um,
Moving on to Barbie's
Barbie.
critique.
So it was a good movie. There were some funny points. I thought Margot Robbie was very good as Barbie. She is the depiction of Barbie in the modern world, and it's perfect casting. Um, what's his name was a great Ken. I thought he was actually pretty funny. He had some good quips in the movie, and the whole um, you know Ken Land. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it was pretty funny.
I like the
What they were
term
doing.
Ken enough.
Yeah, Ken enough
I've had
for
enough Ken enough. Is it Ken enough
um,
for you or something like that?
yeah, but it was amusing. I think some of it was a little over top, and some of it seemed forced. Like I didn't understand Will Ferrell in it. Like he didn't really need to be
Oh,
in
I didn't
it.
know he was in it.
Yeah, he was
Hmm.
one of the main characters in it, but he didn't
Wow.
need to really be in it. I think Michael Cera was actually one of the better parts of the movie as like a supporting actor. Um, but yeah, I think overall it was good. It was funny. I mean, if you just take it at face value, it was a good
What's
movie.
your watch dial rating?
I'd give it probably a 9, 8 or 9 o'clock.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a solid movie. I mean,
So
yeah, I
I
mean,
think it's going to be a franchise thing.
it's not. I don't think it'll be a
No.
franchise. And one of the things I will do like to point out, I think I've mentioned this to you before, is that I think a lot of the movie execs were putting Barbenheimer as like a critical mass point of the movie
To
industry.
save the theaters.
Yeah, because it was these massive summer blockbusters, and they're both originals, right? Barbie itself, the idea is not an original, but the movie is an
Yeah.
original. And
Yeah.
Oppenheimer was an original. Like they're both original movies where like recent history, the blockbusters of summer have been remakes
Remakes.
or
Yeah.
continuations. You know, the Avengers, Batman, stuff like that, and Fast and Furious, which we had another one. I haven't seen it yet, but um, and
So what would you give
it
Barbie? You said
they
nine? Nine
I said like
Barbie?
an 8 is what I'd give
Okay.
her, but they were successful, and that
Yeah.
showed to everyone. Like Barbie made over $1 billion. Oppenheimer was successful. Christopher Nolan has like cemented himself as like an incredible director, which he was before anyway.
Yeah.
And it showed that movies are still they still pull numbers. Like
Yeah.
summer
So here,
blockbusters are still to say. But what I want to finish with is that like I really want to see more originals. Like we
I would
went through
agree.
this era of the Harry Potters, the Avengers, like the whole Marvel universe, the Batmans, the DC. Like it was great, but I think
There's
it's
too
ending,
much.
and
Yeah.
you can tell by the way stuff has been received. So like I mentioned earlier or prior to the episode starting, Secret Invasion, Marvel TV show, the last episode, the ultimate the series season finale. I don't know if it's series, but season finale was the lowest rated episode of any Marvel show, and I think people loved up until Endgame and all that stuff, and some of the post movies, but like that era of just this universe, it's kind of dying. And I think we need to get back to originals and good storytelling
I'll agree with
and
you 100% on
good
that.
cinema.
Especially for someone like me who is not into the fandom of Marvel or superheroes, it's hard to keep track of movies where you're at. I have no idea what's going on in a Marvel movie
Yeah,
these
yeah.
days.
And I think they have their
Or
place, and I love the universe building. Like it's a dynamic that it's not like it's never been to the scale. I think the only close you can tell to the Marvel universe is the Star Wars universe.
yeah,
Um, but like, I, there's a place for it, and I'd like it to continue. But we need to get back to originals of the scale of Oppenheimer and Barbie.
yeah. Well, one last thing on Barbie. My hope is that this movie will bring back the name Ken. I want to see a surge in babies named Ken and maybe Barbara. I doubt it's going to happen, but I think Ken is of my generation. There's not a lot of kids named Ken, Kenny, except on the
It's never
new
been a
TV show.
hugely it's never been a
No,
hugely popular name,
no,
so
but now is yeah. Barbara
yeah.
was
I would see more Barbies than Barbaras too. I bet there'd be more
yeah.
Barbies,
So you
specifically.
talk about originals. So there's a movie that critics didn't like, based on a book that critics did like. Uh, independent film company brought it out called Sound of Freedom. It's shocked a lot of people how well it did in limited theaters and only domestic release. And a lot of the streaming services won't show it. Um, and people are saying it's a QAnon movie. I saw it just because people said you shouldn't see it. They're trying to boycott it. I thought it was a very good movie. Usually, a lot of these movies, the acting's not that great. Jim, I always have a hard time with his name. Jim Caviezel was in it. The star of the movie for me are the two little kids. The little Hispanic kid, the boy was phenomenal, man. He should get an Academy Award. So it told basically a true story of child trafficking and what a father and Jim Caviezel does to get him back. So a touching movie based on a true story, based on a book, lambasted, kind of being boycotted. On the scale, I would give it probably an 8 or a 9. You know, I thought it was a good movie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
You didn't see it, so yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot you can read on both sides of it. So who knows what's the true story of it all?
Well, every time somebody says, "Oh, that's a QAnon movie," I go, "Tell me what QAnon is." And nobody tell me. Have you ever met somebody with QAnon? Nobody can say it. So, uh, I think that was just something they were trying to get it not to be successful. It's kind of
I
crazy.
won't say who, but we have met a we know a QAnon person.
No, I
You
don't
know
know.
who I'm talking about, but
No,
yeah, you do. I'll talk to you
no,
after,
you tell
but
me later. Okay. So other
um,
movies, Mission Impossible.
Mission Pop Epic. I mean, just another awesome, and I
It
know
met
another
expectations.
series.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
great,
just an
great.
epic movie.
Yeah. So
Um,
definitely a format for Tom Cruise. My only critique of the movie is what his running style is interesting to me. It's always his hands are going like this. But great movie, enjoyed it, action packed.
9 o'clock out of on
Yeah,
hour markers.
I'd give it 8 or 9. What about you didn't see Raiders?
No,
I don't remember the name of the Raiders
Indiana Jones.
and
It,
something of something.
yeah, that tells you about enough of the movie. That tells the story
But
right there.
I was actually, I don't want to say pleasantly surprised. I mean, it kind of, again, met expectations. I would give it maybe a 5 or 6. But if I were to compare it to the whole series of Raiders of the Lost Ark, they could have came out with this exact movie 20 years ago. It would have done better because it seemed like it was an old movie.
Well,
The
yeah,
cinematography,
you
and
can
it
kind of
was. So it was
you did
as
kind of
someone,
compare it to the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which was the last one that came out before this, and I think
yeah,
that did much way better. And I
yeah.
actually saw that one opening night. I
But it's
think.
kind of like the Marvel movies. This, since I'm kind of, it was easier to follow for me, I guess. But it's a Disney movie, and somebody pointed out, they said, well, to me, it was a movie that Disney did to put on their streaming service. So, in a way, that kind of makes sense. So, like I said, maybe 6 or 5 o'clock. Met expectations, I guess. It was entertaining. Trying to think of other movies.
Yeah, I don't think there was a ton. I mean, I haven't seen a ton of
Yeah,
movies this
Oppenheimer and
year.
Barbie were the biggest.
But yeah,
What
I mean,
what about? I don't know. Is it a summer movie or Fast and Furious?
yeah, I haven't seen it. I know it's disappointing because
Well,
I'm die
in a
hard,
way,
but
a way you did. In a way, you were actually there where it was filmed.
where was it filmed?
Rome. The nuclear
Oh,
bomb rolls down the Spanish Steps.
oh,
So
nice.
we
Mission
were just
Impossible is in
there.
Rome too.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, a lot of movie sites we toured this summer by accident, just based on our touring. So yeah, Fast and Furious. It's a Fast and Furious movie.
Yep.
Outlandish stunts, great cars, bad acting.
Yeah, so we'll wrap it up here, but your kind of overall thoughts on the
Wait,
2023.
one last movie. Is Guardians of the Galaxy considered a
It
summer
doesn't matter
blockbuster?
because it was a great movie. It
Yeah,
was
I
one of the
agree with
best
that.
Marvel movies.
I don't know if I just find it entertaining because the music and the actors are great. But here's my one critique about that, and it ties in with Fast and the Furious. So Groot is Vin Diesel voicing
Yep,
that.
yep.
He says nothing in any of the movies, yet
He
they're
says a
paying
lot.
him. I am Groot.
Yeah,
That's it. I could have done that. You could have done that. A 6-year-old could have done that,
yeah, but you're
and
not
yet they're
family.
uh, yeah, it's
You're
but
not
it's
Vin
the
Diesel.
Guardians of the Galaxy. No,
Yeah,
I
but
don't
it
know
was
why they have a
important.
name actor for that. Okay, whatever you say.
It was important.
I got to
And
hand it to Vin Diesel. He's making a
did you
ton of
did you
money for very
so did
little.
you did you understand the end of the movie where you understand I am what I'm Groot when Groot speaks?
That everybody understands. Or
Did you
I
understand
don't
the
really
context of
remember.
that? So
Not
at the end
really.
of the movie, Groot speaks and you can understand what he is saying as an audience member, and the reason for that is that you have become part of the Guardians as the audience, and so you've become part of the family, and so you understand Groot now. So that's why, like during the Guardians of the Galaxy, everyone, all the Guardians could understand Groot, and now that the audience can understand, it kind of changes the dynamic. So I thought it was a cool little context and part of the movie to see with Marvel.
Sorry, getting texts about tickets for tonight. So, all right. So with that,
Yep.
summer
So
season.
what do you think about 2023 summer entertainment?
Like I said, our concert entertainment season was delayed because of our travel, but yeah, it's been good. Some of them,
Back to the way things were pre-COVID.
yeah,
I think this is
you know,
finally 2022 was the first like open, so it was a little craziness, but 2023, I think everything's kind of normalized.
yeah. I think the one thing that is a holdover, I think there was so many artists things pent up during COVID, and I mean, even like at the Frampton show last night, he talked a lot about what was he cut a couple of albums. He during COVID because there was nothing else to do. He
Yeah.
cut. He actually has a number 1 blues album. It sat at the top of the blues chart for 12 weeks that he cut during COVID. So, hand out to that.
All right. Well, with that, we'll end our talk on the 2020
Oh, in
2023.
addition to the foreigner tickets, we do have new merch. A nice
What
cooler.
is
It
that?
can hold a 12 pack. Put your nuts. Great for concerts, sporting events. Put your 2 beers on top.
Merch you can't get yet, but maybe in the future we'll get some merch out to you guys.
Well, you got to
So
subscribe, folks. You got to just subscribe.
with that, we'll
All right.
end 2020 2023 summer entertainment review, and we will see you on the next episode.
Ciao, baby.